Good evening, one and all. You're listening to LR Radio dot co dot u dot co dot uk, and it is Button B in the in the hot seat, and precede me was Mandingo, presenting his information show of music and information inspiring and informing the African community and globally here in the UK and abroad. And just hope that you had an awesome day, and then that your weekend was eventful in a positive way. Here on the Global Horizon Show, today we'll be looking at a number of topics today. We are in the month of what is called Black History Month, and we are doing a little refocusing in that sense. And tonight's conversation, it's about independence and sovereignty, and the question is what is the point of Barbados ditching Queen Elizabeth II as its constitutional head of state? What is the point of it? Is it an assertion of sovereignty, of people coming of age? What is it? What does it really worth? What is the point of it? Also, the second topic that we're going to try to tackle is also preserving our history and our heritage in the UK. But the question is, how are we going to do it? I know there's lots of different ideas as to how we should do that, but we're going to try to tackle a little bit of that today. And coming up at 8 o'clock, we have urban psychotherapist with her segment Black Men Talk, with the general theme of restoring healthy relations in the black community. Her topic today is respect. What does it mean to us black men in relation to the black woman? So that's the topic that she'll be tackling today. She's got some guests today: Victor Daniels, who is a comedian, and Michelle Akua, certified massage therapist. So you can have your say, and the number, send your texts 07984 931 588. And if you want to call the studio live, 07377 236 067. So I'm gonna repeat that number again, those numbers again. For texts, 07984 931 588, and for live calls, 07377 236 067. And those are the numbers that you will call if you want to be part of the conversation today. But before I get into the topics today, just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. And over the weekend we had the ceremony and service for Lady Leo, or known as, she's also Janet Edwards, but also known as Lady Leo, in the community. She was did a lot of work in the community and worked tirelessly with her projects and her various initiatives, and also supporting people as well. And she also she did had a program on this station in the early days as well. And but her last radio station she did her program on was on Bless FM, and there was a ceremony for her in service on Friday, and it's pretty good, pretty positive and powerful and moving ceremony, which was held outside her home, attended by a few of us in the community, and also the family as well. It was quite a moving tribute to her. I just want to we just want to thank some people as well. We got to do a little thanking and appreciation from the family for people who help with the particularly from the community ceremony tribute side. Just want to thank Media Net and Supreme, DJ Supreme and Kendaki, who hosted the community tribute live online there on YouTube. And also contributors, Griot Chinere, Dan Powell, and many others who contributed to that program. Also SLR, Bless FM, Bless Radio, Galaxy and Galaxy Radio, and also Anne Scott, who contributed the Remember Me kites, which were very moving it in themselves and brought a different dynamic to the proceedings. Also the Sisters Healing Circle, Galactic Clyde and Sister Kinshani, who performed the passing over ceremony, and Priest Anam, who did the ceremony outside Lady Leo's house. But also the community for their support, their praise, and their contributions to the Forwell tribute, and also just appreciation to all the donors to the Lady Leo's community Forwell tribute, which was a wreath that spelled out her name. The donors, just like to appreciate and thank them, James B, myself, Deborah's, and the Advocate, the Pan-African Society Community Forum, the African Caribbean Elders Project. That is a project that distributes food to the elders in the community, and that's coordinated by Desiree. We want to thank you for your donations. Also, the Blue Rock Restaurant there on Phillip Lane, 344 Phillip Lane. Just also want to thank you, and the proprietor Margaret as well, and the staff. Just want to thank you for those contributions, but also Kimel and also Kimel K. Just want to thank all of you who contributed towards the community forward tribute and the ceremony for Lady Leo, our community queen and warrior. It's always good to give thanks and appreciation when people have done their best and have used their positive energy to make things better and positive. So again, just big up to all those who contributed in any other way, either through support or monetary contributions or any other way. We, the family, also want to thank you very much, and also just want to thank the Lewis families for obviously allowing us to also to be a part of their service, and also the celebration ceremony outside Lady Leo's house. But again, big up to everyone. Big thank you from the family. Right, so let's get on to the topic of today. One of the topics that we will try to tackle today. We will tackle today is about independence and sovereignty, and quite often we hear about countries have received their independence, and they become sovereign nations, meaning they are free to run their own affairs and so forth. But that was not seem to be the case in lots of countries, particularly in the Caribbean, who former colonies who had the Queen as the head of state after independence. She still remained the constitutional head of state. And we also had the Privy Council, which was the highest court in the land. So when all the the court system in those countries or territories are exhausted, then they would come to the Privy Council for the Privy Council to hear their case, and that was the way it worked. So these countries that were independent and sovereign were still coming to the UK to hear their cases, cases that had exhausted their local court system. So one might question the nature or the validity of that independence and sovereignty, and how sovereign are they if they have to come to someone else to have juice, to hear their case and to arbitrate their case, cases that has exhausted the local court system. So, and this is where that we're going to try to unpack this as to what this independence and the sovereignty means, and we're looking at this in the context of Barbados, which announced last month, I think it was, that they were ditching Queen Elizabeth as the constitutional head of state. Obviously, some people were quite cheerful about it. Others were like not so sure. I've had someone who I met in the short answer. But nevertheless, it's been in the pipeline for quite some time, and under discussion for quite a long time. At least in the last 20 years, it has really picked up steam there. If it was the right thing to do. Now, Dr. Nadibayo, who's a columnist in The Voice, he questioned it as well. He thought he wondered if he says he doesn't get the decision. He doesn't think is a good idea. He said it's left him baffled. According to him, he says that the Queen loves black people and the way we are and the way we're not. I think he also got an OBE from her, I think. So he's got different things to say, and he talks about the symbolism, and that we've lived with it for 54 years. That is, Barbados has been independent, so to speak, and he doesn't see it as any big thing either, as well, because he doesn't see us as we're not one of the biggies in that sense. So it is not going to make a lot of difference to the average citizens, according to him. And that's what he is feeling. He thinks that we benefit through the that having a head of state is not bad for the island in terms of tourism, which the country relies on a lot, and according to him, has benefited through her patronage. I'm not quite sure how that one worked, but I'm sure he didn't give any details as to how that worked. But he said that he doesn't understand why they would want to do something like that. And suffice to say, there are other countries in the Caribbean region, ex-colonies, who still have the Queen as their constitutional head of state. And these are Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Belize, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Barbados until she's removed next year. So these islands are still hanging on to the Queen as their head of state, but as countries which are dominated by African populations or people of African descent, you would have thought that the highest person in the land would perhaps reflect them as a sign of maturity and confidence in who, and confidence in who they are. But that seems to be
Long is joining us live from Barbados.
That seems to be a slow thing in coming. So however we want to see that, and how we see independence in that sense, and still having someone who is 5,000 or 6,000 miles away as your head of state, is that an assertion of independence and sovereignty if your head of state, constitutional head of state, as it may, is some 5,000 miles away and is not necessarily representative of you, particularly the people of the country. So, and that is where we are at the moment. Does that kind of a challenge the idea about the independence, and as people of African descent or Africans in the majority, how does that kind of expose that lack? Does it expose a lack of confidence in who we are as a people in that sense? What does that say, that we still hang on to the old colonial vestiges of the past and don't seem to have confidence in our own abilities to perhaps govern ourselves effectively and to run our own affairs? So these are some of the perspective and ideas that have prevailed over the years as people argue about these kind of issues. Some people think it doesn't make any difference to the day-to-day lives of the everyday person, in that sense, that because the people are preoccupied with perhaps survival, so that might not be such a big issue for them, as is often said. But surely the argument should go beyond that, and I find that question only seems to rise its head whenever that countries, particularly with African or African descent population, want to do something significant. That those kind of questions are always asked, as if we don't have the ability to be able to make those sort of decisions. So it's a way of undermining or undercutting that long-held stereotype about us and our abilities to be effective in different areas. Now, I'm going to share a clip with you of what the ambassador, the CARICOM ambassador to Barbados, said regarding the matter.
He's ambassador of Barbados to the Caribbean community. Welcome to Al Jazeera, sir. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. This isn't a new idea for Barbados. Why has it taken so long?
Good question. You know, it's really long overdue. It came up in a very definite way approximately 20 years ago. The political class back then was ready to go forward and make Barbados a republic. But there was a pushback. There was a pushback, particularly from we have a small white minority population in Barbados, but still strong economically. And there was a pushback from them. There was also a pushback from older black Barbadians. Barbados is a 95% black country, but older black Barbadians who would have come of age in the colonial era. So the pushback caused the political class to put this on pause. But over the last 20 years, there has been an evolution in Barbados. And so much so that not only are we removing the Queen of England as our head of state, but we have also made the decision to take down the statue of Lord Nelson, Admiral Nelson, the famous British admiral. That statue was up since 1813. So this is a new assertion of consciousness on the part of the Barbadian people, a feeling that we have come into our own. We want to complete the structure of our status as an independent nation.
What's the significance of removing the Lord Nelson statue?
Well, you know, it was put up 200 years ago by the white planter class. You must know the history of Barbados. Barbados was the first black slave society. And so Lord Nelson back in 1813 was a hero of the white planter class. This is a different Barbados. This is a Barbados of, you know, predominantly black nation, and with a new sense of what our national values are, who our heroes are, what values and principles we want to hold up and celebrate. So the decision has been taken that the Nelson statue will go into our museum. It will be treated as an historical artifact rather than as a statue through which we are celebrating Lord Nelson and what he stood for. Basically, he stood for British Empire and the maintenance of the system of slavery. Those are not our 21st century Barbadian values that we want to hold, hold up.
One can't imagine that the process of choosing a new head of state is going to be particularly easy. How concerned are you that it might end up actually bogging Barbados politics down with political infighting and a certain amount of leverage searching as people try to get their own candidates into place? How's it going to work, do you think?
Well, you know, our Prime Minister has said she wants every little Barbadian boy and girl to aspire to someday be the head of state of Barbados. Barbados is a very well-run, very orderly society. We are the kind of nation where when, you know, fundamental interests are at stake, we coalesce. And so, you know, we have a long history of running our affairs in a very orderly and constructive manner. So that's not a concern at all. And you know, the other thing is that Barbados is a member of the Caribbean community of nations, 15 nation states that are joined together in an organization known as the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. And we are in the process of trying to develop a Caribbean civilization. And so it is kind of incongruous that we're going to develop a Caribbean civilization, but we're going to hold on to the symbol of the Queen of England as our head of state. So, this is part of our natural evolution as we take full control of our sovereignty. We express full confidence in our own ability to totally manage our national affairs.
We really appreciate you giving us your thoughts on this. David Commershong, thank you very much for joining us on Al.
Yes, that was the ambassador to the Caribbean community known as CARICOM, there David Commershong, giving his thoughts on what he felt about the government of Barbados making the step to ditch Queen Elizabeth II as their constitutional head of state. And you heard some of what he said, that the reasons were for doing it. It was about expressing a certain confidence, as he put it, in who they are as people. And also, it's also about, according to, based on what he said, about also expressing the sovereignty at a different level, but also their abilities to manage their own national affairs, and also to shape their own values system in the way that they see fit, or according to their I suppose that their cultural influences, I suppose, would go along those lines. So that's the way he put that. He see it as a expression of new found confidence, and kind of overcoming the colonial experience. In terms of finding a better way to put it, and that's the way he put it. See it as a step further after independence, in terms of and also expressing their sense of sovereignty. So we could all argue that, but people may ask, well, what is the real point of it in terms of him, in terms of the government doing it? What is the real point of it? What does it really signify? Since in the context of Barbados, in terms of economy, they're totally reliant on tourism in that sense. And as Dotton seems to suggest, that having her there, that somehow she signaled that she was a marketing tool, I suppose, for the country, because it kind of suggests stability, political stability and so forth. The fact that she's there, but as you heard from Commershong, he kind of dismissed that in that sense, that because he thought that we are in a position to execute our own affairs and run our own affairs effectively. So there he is dismissing the idea that the Queen is of any value or significance in that sense, and what it does for the general population and how they feel about it. There seems to be a very enthusiastic support for the move, based on all the reports and clips that I've seen. There seems to be almost a unanimous support for that. And of course, for a lot of the people there, it's about a certain pride, I suppose, that a poor black person, as they will put it, or black boy or girl, can rise to be to assume the highest position in the land, and for them that speaks of confidence as they see it, confidence of shaking off the shackles, some of the shackles of colonization, which has been systemic there to a very large and significant degree. So I suppose that from that context, and in that context, you could see that as something that is good. You might see that as the point of it. You might think that there is a point in that. Just going to read a text that someone sent in. Said, "Hi, President B. It could be argued." This person said it in the group, in the show's group. It said it can be argued that Barbados never had the Queen in the first place because it was the royal colonial blood-sucking pirates who brought West Africans to the Caribbean and drained the blood out of their hearts and minds and souls, and left them to and labelled them with such pirate names. And honestly, give thanks for the few of us that have survived. We should be happy to dump that horn, which in their eyes. So this text here, Mr. B, feeling quite strong about it, not even recognizing her in the true sense as being the Queen of Barbados in any context because of the nature of their colonization and enslavement. And the commentator also mentioned that they will be taking down the statue of Lord Nelson and putting it in a museum as a relic of history, not to be celebrated as something of consequence to the black population of the island. And I'm sure that surely that most people would not argue with that. So it seems that perhaps that could be seen maybe as a coming of age or a retrograde step, as Dr. Atibayo sees it in the country going forward. But I think this has been going on for quite some time, because in 2003, Barbados also left the Privy Council and set up along with Guyana, I think Trinidad, set up the Caribbean Court of Appeal, and that's where they take their cases when the local court system has been exhausted. That is where that Barbados takes its case. It is no longer a member of the Privy Council since 2003. So this the uncoupling of the system in terms of moving away from the Queen has been happening for quite a long time. So this announcement was just part of something that was quite in the offing for quite some time. But like he said, it was held back by forces of those of the older generations who grew up in the heat of the colonial time, and also the small white population that's there. I think it's about 4% of the island who were quite against it and pushed back. And because of the nature of politics, because the white population, they still have a significant impact there in terms of the economy. And as you are aware, that the parties, in the way the system works, is quite tied up in that sense. So none of the established parties really had the will, or the political will, I should say, to go forward with it. But now there seems to be a different energy in the place, and I suppose that the different generations, that is also more receptive of the idea. So I think that there has been a lot of social change and shift in that regard, moving towards this position, but what does it say for the? Because the question that the interview from Al Jazeera asked was, why did it take so long to do that? And that should be a question, I think, for all of those countries in the Caribbean, in terms of what their independence means, and what their sovereignty means in that sense, and why is it taking so long? Why are they hanging on to the vestiges of colonization and some of the instruments that actually denigrate them? That they're still hanging on to these wretched ideas and that they see, or the vestiges that they see as important. So I think that perhaps they should free themselves in that sense. Right, so I've got a text here coming in from Rash Jr. He says, greeting, Buzz and B. If the people of Barbados can feed and clothe themselves by leaving the stranglehold of the Commonwealth, then that is a brilliant decision. The African can take care of himself after all. He's the first in the creation to walk on the earth. Yeah, so I think that West Junior put it in the broader sense of the question that I was asking, in the sense that you might leave, you might remove the Queen as head of state, you might take down Lord Nelson and that, but then if you're not able to really feed yourself and what I mean without being too, because most of the economies there are very dependent economies in that sense, and so I think that I can allude to the point that Australia is making, because we're still they still will remain in the Commonwealth, which the Queen is the head of the Commonwealth, and it still have where Britain and the UK still has a sphere of influence. So even though that they might not be the head of state, the influence is still coming through the back door via the Commonwealth. So and that's the way that Britain was able to still hold on to its former colonies in terms of influence, influence and business and trade and so forth, but mainly to influence, because obviously we exist in a global operation in terms of politics and economics. So they want to be there to influence the different movements and political trends that are happening globally. So I get the point that Rush Jr. is trying to make, that furthermore, it would be even greater if the people of Barbados can free themselves from the shackles of the Commonwealth as well. Then, of course, and that would be even a more representation and expression of true independence and sovereignty. So it puts the whole question of what sovereignty and independence really is, because even though some people might see it as a cosmetic change, some people might say, well, no, it isn't. It actually speaks to the confidence of the people themselves, because they want the head of state to reflect and look like them, and perhaps change and shape the history of the country. And I think having a conversation with someone, they said to me they were a little surprised that Barbados moved ahead so quickly with it, because they said to me that they didn't think that they would see Barbados ever doing something like that, because of the perceived loyalty to Britain and so forth, because of its colonization for 375 years by Britain alone. There's a perception, and in some cases it's true, that they seem more receptive to British way of things and so forth. And that is true in some contexts, not in all contexts, but in some contexts it is true. So that is why that it was kind of a surprise and even a shock to this person. They probably thought that Barbados would have been the last to do so because of its history. But I had to say that the population, the people, are exposed to globally. People can see what's happening. People are educating their minds in a different way, and certainly the younger generations have little or have no time and no interest in the Queen. They really don't really care about her, and you know, so it would have been more easier to do because they're not really interested. And as a matter of fact, they have little interest even in Britain, like the older colonial generation. They seems to project more towards the United States as opposed to Britain. So that idea about Britain is no longer there in that sense. That have shifted with generations and generations down the road. That has definitely been a social and also a mental shift in that regard. So thank you, Ras. Thank you, Ras Jr. For thank you for that text, and also and Mr. B for that text as well. So if you want to continue to, if you want to text anything on the matter, because coming up next is Anne's. She's presenting her segment today, and it's about respect and what it means to the black woman by black men. She will be presenting that. She will be presenting that. She's presenting that segment. So within the next couple of seconds, she's going to be starting that segment, and we are going to be coming back to tackle these. We are going to come back to tackle these subjects. We are going to come back to tackle these subjects. So we've been exploring the ideas about sovereignty and independence, and what was the point of Barbados ditching or relinquishing the Queen as its head of state. But right now, it's going to be Anne's, the urban psychologist.
AKA Jarrens, and I'm tuning to SLR Radio on TuneIn, and I'm listening to Black Talk with Anne's, urban psychotherapist. Mondays at 8 p.m, the Global Horizon Show, Black Man Talk with Anne's. Tune in. Jean-Noob is here, aka Jarrens, and I'm tuning to SLR Radio on TuneIn, and I'm listening to Black Men Talk with Anne's, urban psychotherapist. Mondays at 8 p.m, the Global Horizon Show, Black Man Talk with Anne's. Tune in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another segment of Black Men Talk. I'm Anne, known as the Urban Psychotherapist. Now, to those of you who are new to the show, thanks for joining me this evening. Now, we're going to start with checking in, reflections, and then we're going to unpack a topic. Now, we're going to take our time with each topic because we have time. I'll be staying on and presenting Black Men Talk, so we'll have time to unpack each topic. Now we're going to welcome special guests today, and then we're going to continue with conversations that we need to have and close the segment. I was going to close the segment with a tune. Now that tune that opened up was Queen Majesty. Now there's a version going around. I know this is probably not the original, but there's nothing like this version and earlier versions. The version going around is mediocre. This, I wanted to celebrate the black woman. I wanted to present black men who celebrate black women. And as always, you can text the studio, even to say hello. The number to text is 07984 931 588. That's 07984 931 588. Now, big thanks to my special guest last week, Janabis Reds. He's the CEO and founder of ATS Creative Academy, a multi-talented young man who also has a creative approach to mental health. So check out, he has a podcast on YouTube, and Janabis Reds, I definitely is one to watch, and what he does for mental health, I really support that. Also, I've been watching MediaNet Live. Now they have some amazing informative shows, including a show called What's a Week. Now I do recommend MediaNet Live. And also, before I continue, I'm going to ask Buzzing B, have you been exercising, Buzzing B? Have you been exercising? Because a lot of us have not been exercising, and we should.
Have I been exercising?
Yeah.
Yes, I have been exercising, walking.
That is
workouts.
good.
Yeah.
That is good, because I have been set a challenge. I call him a inspiring fitness coach named Stefan. I've booked a session with him, an hour. Now I'm fit, definitely, but I haven't been exercising as much as I should have during this whole COVID and the lockdown. So my challenge is on Thursday, 1 hour of a workout, and I will let you guys know whether this motivates me to continue exercising. So Stefan, Thursday, if he's listening, I can't wait for that. And we're going to begin. Normally 1 to 10, we say how we're feeling. So Buzzing B, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling great today.
Buzzing B's always feeling great, so that's a 9, is it? 9, 10?
No, I'd say probably 8, I would say.
Okay, I'm like a 4 okay. Today. So quite tired today, but I'm looking forward to the guests, because today also our topic, which we're going to continue, so for people not to worry, all these topics that we're bringing up, we're giving you tasters, so we're going to continue with these topics. Now today is RESPECT, respect. What does it mean to us? And when I say us, me, us, Black Men Talk, what does it mean to black men in relation to black women? So respect, when we think of respect, we think of, what do we think of? A deep admiration for someone, something elicited by our feelings and affection for someone, qualities, achievements. Now, what black women have been saying, and we've been talking about that over the weeks, is that black men don't notice black women as much. They don't feel appreciated. Now, when I think of what's synonymous to respect, it's regard, esteem, high opinion of. So the gentleman listening, when you think of the black woman, do you have a high opinion of the black woman? Do you admire the black woman? Do you recognize her? Are you in awe of her? Buzzing Bee smiling. So Buzzing Bee smiling, which I'm wondering now. I'm going to be analytical now. I wonder what that smile's about. So I don't know how to take that smile, but Buzzing Bee smiling. And here's some things of what some black men are saying about the black woman. Now, this is an interesting point, and this is definitely something I know they talked about on the Global Horizon show. Basically, the system. Some men think that the system has ensured that the black man and the black woman automatically will find it difficult to get along. So some people believe that this division, which occurs in all races, but with the black man and the black woman, people believe that it has a historical context. And the fact that we do get along, even professional relationships, some people are surprised by that. What comes up for you, Buzzing Bee? Because we're going to...
In what context?
Some people are surprised that there's this, we can call it a myth going around, that black people, we cannot get along.
Yeah, I think I agree in terms of the myth around it. Of course, you would always find people don't get along generally across the board. That is a human condition. But I find that somehow when it happens in our context, it seems to be elevated to a different level and given put in some special box, as though it's something different outside normal general behavior, as though it is just pertaining to ourselves. It's something that's inherent in us only.
Exactly.
And it doesn't necessarily exist outside
in
the other
races.
the human. It's just a human condition most of the time. I
Exactly.
think sometimes we overplay that sometimes, even in the context of relationships, in the way that the black man and the black woman relate to each other. I was having a conversation some years ago, and there were four of us talking.
Yes.
I'm black. That they were like, one guy is Greek, the other one is white, and then come where the other one was from. But they were talking about issues with their women and their content, the women. And do you know that everything they were saying, or the same things that we see, that only pertains to us because our case is a special case.
This is what
But
I was
everything
gonna
that they were
say.
saying is
Yeah.
what I've heard. The conversation that we have that we think only pertained that is a black.
Well, here's
thing.
the thing, because as exactly what you're saying there, because as a therapist, I work with people of all races, so I
Right.
know that the problems that we have, other races have problems.
Yeah.
With their men, with their women, people have problems. So it's magnified when it's black people, and that is what's happening. However, because of the historical context, and this is why we're going to have conversations like this in the future.
Right.
This is why, it's important for us to look at that, because sometimes black women think it's just black men, or black men think it's just black women, when all other races
And they're very convinced.
have-
And they're very convinced
they
of that.
are convinced of that. And a popular narrative, before we go to our guest, our first guest, a popular narrative was that black women, let's look at so-called professional types, are judgmental. Now, I had also interviewed a road sweeper. I think they still use that name, road sweeper. I'm not sure if that name, because I know that they changed the names. Yeah, and basically, there's a name for it. Absolutely. And the bottom line to that is, he's thought that black women were judgmental. And a lot of the narratives are that black women are judgmental. Now, we're going to look at all areas of the black man and the black woman, and respect came up. Respect came up with regards to the black man and the black woman. Black men seemed disappointed with the black woman, not valuing her, forgotten what she can be like. Now, we see black women through a mental filtering system, one black man said. So there definitely are areas to discuss, and we will be looking at that in future episodes. So I'm going to say to black men, what do you think of when you think of the black woman? And what does respect mean to you? Now, you can text, feel free to text. We're going to have these conversations because we're going to keep on with Black Men Talk and continue with our conversations. Now, one illustration before before we have our next guest, one illustration is this: the all black women are negative narrative. Now that was very, very popular in the survey that I carried out. They made exceptions. Some of the men made exceptions of women if they presented as mixed or other non-white appearance. And sometimes they'd make exceptions of black women, like myself, just different types of black women they'd make exceptions of. And it seemed like some only noticed the black woman to criticize her. Now, these are conversations that we need to have, and we're going to have these conversations. So think about that, guys. Just think about that. And we look at all angles. It's not just black men being negative towards black women. We're going to ensure that we're going to go forward. We're not going to go round in circles, because we've had loads of conversations for years and years and years. With this segment, we're going to go forward, because Black Men Talked. So 07984 931 588. And for those tuning in, this is Anne's on Black Men Talk. So now it is time for our special guest. Okay, he is a new friend to the station and another multi-talented young man. As I said before, last week we had Janabas Reds. Well, tonight, our first guest, tonight we have a world-class comedian who is engaging people with his brand of comedy. He's been engaging people for years. He is one of our online event guests as well. He is the multi-talented. Put it this way, he's one of the few people that made me laugh over the lockdown, watching him. And, you know, I definitely am somebody who, hardly any UK comedians make me laugh except this gentleman. So we're now going to talk to Victor Daniels. Should be on the line. It's Victor Daniels on the line.
Hey, what's happening? Huh?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello, Victor. I didn't know you were there. You're on the line. Hi.
Oh, brilliant. Hello. How's it going?
It's not going too badly. I'm not feeling brilliant today, but I do feel good because I'm glad that you've come on. You've been able to call.
And thanks for the intro, man. Nice.
Oh, you heard the intro as well. That's good. Because usually there's a sound and I can hear. I didn't know you were on. Okay, that's brilliant. Okay. So how are you feeling? Because we do a 1 to 10, Victor. So how are you feeling between 1 and 10? How are you feeling
really good.
right
I just came off the movie set with Nines, and I got a little role in that, so I'm feeling really good.
You're feeling really good. Okay, well, that's brilliant. So I introduced you. You are a comedian. And 9 out of 10 people that I mention your name to, they know who you are. So you are a popular comedian,
wow.
Victor.
I'm humbled.
Yeah, you're modest, because I didn't know that. But everyone I say Victor Daniels, they're like, Victor Daniels? Yeah, you know Victor Daniels, a comedian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm humbled.
You're humbled. So have you... Hello? Okay, that's not me. I'm blaming Buzzing Bee. Buzzing Bee's just cut off my guest, ladies and gentlemen. So we're reconnect to Victor. Hello, Victor.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, that was Buzzing Bee.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a technical issue that just happened there. But
okay.
So you've been a comedian for some time then?
Yes.
I take it. You
about
have?
15 years.
Wow, okay, that's a long time. That is a long time. And I wanted to ask you something, Victor, because do you notice, you know that people, all right, you're a comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because you're a comedian, do you notice that sometimes people might try to be funny? Because you're a comedian, because I'm going to hold my hands up. I don't know if you've noticed, but when I'm communicating with you, I do try to be funny sometimes.
It happens all the time. It's just part of the business. It's just, I think it's just a nervous reaction. I don't know. Or
yeah, because a lot of people...
Maybe people genuinely think they're funny and they want to test it out. I don't know.
Say that again, because there's a bit of noise. I couldn't hear you. Say that again, Victor.
Maybe people think they're funny and they're just trying to test out their material on me. I don't know.
It's true. A lot of us want to be funny, Victor. That's the thing. And you are funny. Because over the COVID lockdown, and yeah, I was not in a great space. And I hardly find UK comedians funny. I'm going to be honest with you. And when I came across you you had me in stitches, and I showed other people. So it's like a whole age range of people that will find you funny. So
That's what I was,
yeah, you just seem surprised by that, but you really
yeah,
are.
because you're just sitting in your room and you're just making it up, and then you just put it out there, and then sometimes you just think to yourself, is it funny? Do I sound crazy? So I don't know, man. It's just every time I hear someone like it, I'm just it's like it's the first time hearing it.
Right, so exactly. So humble is a good thing. Humble is a good thing. And I've got some questions for you, Victor. Some more questions. Okay. And because clearly, I'm just going to be honest. Clearly, I don't make you laugh. Let's just be honest, Victor. Because I've tried
No,
some.
I wouldn't say that.
I've tried some jokes. No, Victor, I have. I've tried some jokes, and I think they just go over your head. You just don't find it funny. But it's fine.
I might not get it. That's all.
What's that?
I might not get it. That's all.
All
I'm
right,
not very good at getting jokes.
That's honest. Victor doesn't get my jokes. That's honest. That's
Not your
honest,
jokes,
Victor. Quite a few
people in
people don't
general.
get my jokes, Victor.
Just people in general.
I can't hear you. There's a bit of noise in the studio. Can you repeat that, Victor?
I said no. I don't get a lot of jokes funny. I'm a bit late. It goes over my head.
Right. So can I ask you before I go on to my next question? Right.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to find out your status in terms of because we talk about relationships here, but I want to know.
yeah.
You make people laugh. So in your social time, do you require of someone, to make you laugh? Meaning, is that something you find attractive about somebody, that they can make you laugh, that you have the same sense of humor? Is that laughter? Because laughter is powerful, isn't it? Laughter.
Yeah, it's true, but not. Now I think about it, that's not really my thing. I like someone I can talk to about
Right.
anything, laughter included, but just be able to talk to someone.
Right. I think it's
I'm a bit of a chatterbox, so.
okay. So the talking, because I'm assuming laughing because you're a comedian. So it's kind of like being a therapist. People have certain ideas about how I might be. So I understand that. So because you're a comedian, I'm thinking everything around laughter. Because did you know that there is a science to laughter? Apparently, it has scientific benefits. Did you know that?
I hear it's good for you.
Yeah.
Takes
And-
away stress, I don't know.
The stress, all right, you realise that because there are scholarly articles for laughter and mental health.
Oh, okay.
Apparently,
Good to know.
yeah. I've been doing my research. I thought if I don't make Victor laugh, I will impress you with my research, Victor. Okay, that's meant to make you laugh as well. I'm trying, Victor.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So it goes over my head.
Pretend at this point.
Huh?
Pretend to laugh at this point. I'm joking.
Right, next time.
But yeah,
On the next one.
yeah, exactly. But no, honestly, you're providing. Check this out, Victor. You're providing a creative mental health service as a comedian. Did you know that?
No, I just.
Yeah, I've
I
done
don't
my
know,
homework.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Good to hear.
yeah, it's a creative mental health service. Laughter supports the individual, as you said, to de-stress, because while laughing, we're relaxing and recharging,
Mm.
and that's why we
Okay.
feel good. So I just wanted to give you that information because at the end of the
Thank you.
day, at the end of the day, being a comedian is something that it really is powerful. It's a powerful
Wow.
thing. So
Oh,
Victor,
thank you.
Victor, I wanted
Yeah?
to ask you, so what's your audience? Because do you have a side of your show where it's just for adults, or are you across the board? What is your audience like?
Well, if you're talking about live theatre,
Mm-hmm.
I have anything. I have mainly over 25, I'd say.
Mainly over 25s. And where can people see your work?
Well, you can definitely go to my Instagram. It's there at Comic Vic. I posted so many videos. I think I'm on 75.
Really, at Comic Vic,
Yeah,
and that's on IG. Did everyone hear that? At Comic Vic, that's on IG where you can catch Victor.
because at the moment us comics ain't performing live because of COVID.
Yeah, and how are you finding that transition to online? Because you seem to be comfortable there with it. But how are you finding that?
I find it's a bit of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if you're making people laugh or they're just supporting you. So with comedy, with stand-up, it's pretty more direct. You say something, if they don't laugh, then you know it wasn't funny, which is better suited for me. What goes on online, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you want that, Victor. It's like me transition to the radio, and you know, that feedback with teaching or in therapy. I'm used to feedback, so it is definitely, it's a change. It's definitely something different to get used to. You definitely seem to be doing well, because when I was scrolling on the Facebook pages and also looking online in general, definitely I was not in the mood to be laughing or anything like that. And every time I said, all right, I'm going to go and have a look at what Victor Daniels is putting up, and every time you'd make me laugh. And then also you had your friends as well in one sketch that was really funny.
Behind what? Sorry?
You had your friends in one of your sketches.
Oh, okay.
And you guys would, it was just a funny sketch. And then you have all these different types of sketches. So that was that's really cool. So Victor, we were talking about respect. I'm just going to ask you about that. I get an impression of you that respect. You seem like somebody that, you know, respects women, because we're talking about men and women. So I'm just asking you in general. You don't have to, it's nothing deep, but just in terms of respect, will you say that you're a man that holds women, and we're referring to women of the same race as well, in high regard? Would you say that you're in awe when you think of the black woman? Are you, you know, what do you think of the black woman? Are you in awe of the black woman, or it depends on the particular woman?
She's nice. She's nice.
It's simple to you.
Yeah, I don't see it as anything deeper.
Exactly. So you've got there's no kind of all black women are.
No.
No, I knew that, but it's good for some of the ladies listening to hear that, because not everyone gets to hear that. So that's why it's good to have different types of men on the platform, so that the ladies can hear that. Absolutely, because
I hear that.
Yeah, many of the ladies have negative experiences and come across men that are saying all black women are, and I let them know.
I don't think I have, no.
Yeah, and I let them know that's not the norm in my world. So it does help when they hear gentlemen like you, and I'm glad that you came on today, because we're going to ask you one more question. Now, Victor Daniels, do you know when the first human laughed?
First what, sir?
The first, do you know, check this out, do you know, it's an impact question that will win you a free copy of the Urban Narratives book. So Victor Daniels, do you know when the first human laughed? The first human documented to have laughed. Take your time.
First human?
The first human. Do you know, Victor? Time's running out. Do you know?
No.
No, nor do I. Did I make you laugh? That was meant to make you laugh, Victor.
Yeah.
I nearly made him laugh. Did I nearly make you laugh, Victor? I don't think I did. But yeah,
you did.
I did. Buzzing Bee. I made Victor Daniels laugh. At last. Right, because basically it was documented in Genesis 17:17 apparently. Yeah, it was documented, but I just wanted to make you laugh, Victor, because you made me laugh over the summer, honestly, and you are one of the best. Honestly, you did. And not many comedians. I'm literally going for one of my favourite comedians, and then I said, no, I'm gonna listen to Victor Daniels. I'm gonna give the UK a chance, and you made me laugh. So who is your favourite comedian of all time? If you've got more than one, just name one that comes to mind.
My favourite is Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, he's my second favourite, yeah. Guess who my favourite is?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle comes close. He's
Kevin
on the
Hart.
list. Who else?
Kevin Hart?
No, I like Kevin in films. I do. One more. Come on, you must know him. He's really funny. He's a short gentleman. He's really funny.
Cat Williams.
Yes. Cat Williams is the best.
He's good.
He's the best ever. He's the best ever. So Victor, I did make you laugh, and you know it's really good that you could come on, and we know that you're going to be on our event, and you will be coming back to the show anyway, won't you?
Yeah, that's fine, whenever.
Brilliant. It's a short one today, and we're going to be talking to another guest, Akil Michelle, shortly after. So I want to say to you, Victor, so thanks for,
No worries.
thanks for coming on, and yeah, thanks for making me laugh over the summer. Honestly, you're talented.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Victor. So you take care
You too.
and bye for now.
All right. See ya.
Okay. All right then, Victor. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, that was Victor, and I've just obviously time has run out, and we had planned to have a Kua today. However, time's running out, so we cannot have a Kua, I'm advised, because of the time. And yeah, we will be speaking to Akua. Apologies to her if she, because I know she's waiting for the call. But yeah, we have next week, we have Hugh Mayers and Akua. We're inviting you next week because the time has run out today, and Buzzing Bee has to do the next segment. So it just goes really quickly. But the good thing about this is we're going to have lots of talks, and Akua is one of the ladies that is willing to talk as well, so on the topics that we're bringing forth. So I look forward to that, and she's going to be on the online panel. Akua is a certified massage therapist and holistic health advocate. My apologies that we cannot talk to Akua today. That's literally out of my hands, but we will be talking to Akua next week. So guys, what we're going to do, because I'm closing now, I'm going to close with poetry. I'm going to close with an extract from a poem called The Black Woman, and it's a poem by Marcus Garvey. Black Queen of Beauty, thou hast given colour to the world, like the brightest of jewels in the regal diadem. Shinest thou, goddess of Africa, nature's purest emblem. Black men worship at thy shrine of truest love, because in thine eyes are virtue's steady and holy mark, as we see in no other. When Africa stood at the head of the elders' nations, the gods used to travel from foreign lands to look at thee. Thy transcends marvellous beauty, made the world mad, bringing Solomon to tears as he viewed thy comeliness. You in all ages have attracted the adoring world. Today you have been dethroned through the weakness of your men, while in frenzy. Those who craved your smiles and your hands, those who were all monsters and could not with love approach you, have insulted your pride and now attack your good virtue. From the handsome Indian to European brunette, there is a claim for that credit of their sunny beauty that no one can take from thee, O queen of all women. We have borne trials and troubles and racial burden. Once more we shall in Africa fight and conquer for you, restoring the pearly crown that proud Queen Sheba did wear. Yea, it may mean blood, it may mean death, but still we shall fight, bearing our banners to victory, men of Africa's might. Superior angels look like you in heaven above, for thou art fairest queen of the seasons, queen of our love. No condition shall make us ever in life desert thee, sweet goddess of the evergreen land and placid blue sea. Marcus Garvey, The Black Woman extract. Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you for presenting Black Men Talk. Victor Daniels and that interview. I do apologize to Michelle Akua. Michelle Akua. As time has really said, we do apologize for that. We will try to organize that for next week. But then, and the urban psychologist presenting Black Men Talk, exploring the topic of respect and from black men, what does it mean to you in terms of black women? Now, we're going to, earlier on, we were talking about sovereignty and independence, and in the case of Barbados, moving away from ditching Queen Elizabeth I as the constitutional head of state, and there were a lot that has been said about that. But before we move on, just want to mention one of our supporters here, Blue Rock Caribbean Restaurant, located there on 344 Lordship Lane. It's a takeaway and a restaurant. Some really tasty foods there. I was there last Monday and had a meal there, really fantastic, and very competitive prices. So it's 344 Lordship Lane there, Tottenham in 177Q. QX, very friendly staff and polite, and the food tastes really good. So that's Blue Rock Caribbean Restaurant there on 344 Lordship Lane, Tottenham in 70. Now I've got Andy Advocate on the line who wants to who's going to be on the live link, and he's commenting on the topic about independence and sovereignty, and the case of Barbados deciding to ditch Queen Elizabeth II as the head of state. Now, Andy Advocate, you're there?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Good evening, and I know that you have origins in Barbados, and
I have roots in Barbados.
Roots in Barbados, that's right. So, I just wanted to see what you think about this move by the country to move away from having Queen Elizabeth II as their constitutional head of state, and the question was, what is the point of it?
Yeah, well, for me, I was born in the UK. I loved watching the pageantry of the Queen and so forth. The horses and the marching and the costume that they wear. But as a older person, maybe in Barbados, they probably say no. They prefer to be under the British colony, while the younger ones would say, well, they don't really have any connection with the royal family as such, and what is she really doing still there? And if she's still there, are we still really truly independent? So it was told that some of the countries in the Caribbean are still with the Privy Council, and they have to write back to the UK to do certain things. It's for me, as I said, it's removing the Queen gives Barbados an opportunity to ascertain its own history, rather than the history from the eyes of the British colonial. So this, being this independent, will give them that right. But I'm also flipping the script as well, Buzzy. But I was thinking about the Brexit as well.
Right.
It's the same sort of arguments, wanting their own national identity, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that. The argument still up.
So you do think that there is a point to it?
Well, obviously there are going to be some drawbacks, because as you know, the population of Barbados, 5% of it is a white population, but that 5% own most of the economic structure in Barbados.
Yeah, so that I mean after 375 years of colonization by the British, when the British was relinquishing power, so to speak, in terms of administrative and political power, you should say, certainly the economic aspect was passed on to to white Bajans, as they are called, and they control the plantations and all the businesses in the city, and all the areas of economic activity that brought in the most money, while the African population was left to, just to survive on the little trinkets of the economy. I mean, that has changed to some extent, in a small extent, but I don't think that it is. I don't think it's significant enough, because the white population there, who, by the way, was there before the Africans were brought there, because they came from Ireland and Scotland, and they still dominate.
That's right.
To the east of the island, and they dominate. But having said that, they having said that, that 5% of that population, of that 5%, it's probably only 3% or 2% that actually controls the other percentage are average people, and they're not wealthy. They're not wealthy at all. In some cases, they're worse off than the black population there. So I think it's important to put a context to that, that 5% are not all rich and controlling everything, and find themselves in spheres of influence. So it is not a straightforward picture there.
Yeah, it's something that's happened all over, really, with the British Empire, when they've sort of given independence to two countries. They still hold on to the economic structure of that country.
Yeah,
and in the end, what it did cause, by them leaving, was causing civil war.
Yeah. Well, I think
that. Yeah. And a typical example of that is what happened in India when the British left. The Muslim side and the Hindus started to compete for political power. So that is always a drawback for when the British leave. But I think now in this modern time, we should be able to control that.
I mean,
with dialogue.
Yeah, I think that the question as to whether it is it a real sign of sovereignty, I think, and even independent sense, that I think Xtra Rash Jr. did mention that obviously Barbados will still remain a part of the Commonwealth, and that is where that the UK still have its economic and cultural influence, so to speak. So some people might point to that and say, well, you're still in shackles in a way, in that sense. I think in the sense that Rash Jr. put it. So even though that you are apparently asserting your identity and so forth, on the other side, you are still in this club of influence from the same people that you are trying to get away from.
Yeah.
So it is not as straightforward as it sounds.
Yeah, because one of the other things, that tricks that they do when they are given independence, is to leave the country with a amount of debt owing to that British colony. So again, that country that just had independence hadn't got any economic strength. Now has a debt to pay back from what?
Well, yeah, I think in the case of the French colonies, they had a much more different situation to the British colonies, because the French colonies had to, after independence, they had to pay the some kind of tax to the French government. I think just the other day that one of the African countries were, I think, protesting about it. And I think I don't think they no longer pays it, but all the French colonies had to pay taxes to the French government even after independence. So it just shows you the parasitic attitude of these people who came to colonize and enslave people. You know, very parasitic, and in terms of wanted to suck the blood of our people, and still continues to do so on a different level.
Yeah, that's when we talk about reparations, cancelling the
debt.
third world debt, as we call it in quotes, is one of the high on the agenda. Because even though they give you independence, you still got one arm tied behind your back.
Yeah, so that brings the question about sovereignty and independence, because as the commissioner to CARICOM, the ambassador to CARICOM, David Commercial mentioned, he said that it's about is you still have an economy that primarily relies on these people and so forth. So how, apart from having that little feel-good factor that release a few endorphins from time to time and give us sense of pride, you know, and all of that, then what really changes beyond the surface is what I'm trying to get to.
Well, I give the one thing that they can do. They can start making their own gifts, local gifts, made in Barbados.
Most of it is made in China, though. I think 90%, 95% of it is made in China.
And that has been the problem for many, many years, and I refuse to buy any of those products or any of those gifts. So sorry, family, that I didn't buy you.
But if you go to Pelican Island, have you been to Pelican Island where they have the craft for all the local people? You go to Pelican Island there, where they have all the local craftsmen. You know, you can
go down to the local craft shop and spend the money with the local people.
Yeah.
Because when I spend the money in the other shop, that money goes straight out the country.
Yep. But that seems to, because I had a conversation with someone from Barbados who mentioned the issue to me, and they asked me the kind of question: do you think it's a good thing, though? As though obviously they're expressing disapproval, as though that everything is going to hit rock bottom pretty soon because that the Queen is being ditched, and they didn't seem to have to express that the kind of confidence that other people were expressing, and the person said in the next sentence, that perhaps they're inviting the Chinese in. so we're kicking the British out and inviting the Chinese in. So so what is the point of it? Is the question I'm asking.
Why can't we invite one of African countries to? Well, but I think Barbados has started that process.
Yeah, well, we have started. I think the present Prime Minister have started making headway in terms of working with Africa. I think that she set up an African Affairs ministry department to deal with that, and I think she was in Ghana last year. I think it was. She was in Ghana last year to explore talks about having nurses. I think Ghanaian nurses in Barbados, and I think I've seen there were about 40 of them. They need 400 nurses from Ghana is what they're negotiating. I think so far that 40 of them have arrived in the island in the last couple of months, and she's even talking about having a direct flight from Ghana straight to Barbados, because there is no direct flights coming from Africa to the Caribbean. We have to go to Europe and America, and we have to go all the way the long way around in order to get to Africa. So she's kind of a spearheading that, because she thinks that is absolutely appalling that is not yet the case, and that we should be trading more and move away more from Europe rather than depending or loitering on the colonial steps after closing time, as she puts it.
Yeah, well, that is leading the way. Yeah. That's what we should be doing. Yeah. All the black people in the Caribbean come from Africa.
Yeah.
So most of those countries should be trying to make a life back with Africa.
Yeah, and I believe, I believe
Pick
that
out the French, the Spanish, the English, and deal with your forefathers.
Ideas how we should do that, because we have contributed so much to the society. We have long history here as well, and that goes beyond the Windrush. History goes beyond that, but our time is often defined by that. But I would go beyond that. So how the question is, how do we preserve our history and our heritage here? How do you think we should do that?
We've already started doing that.
Right.
We've already started doing that, and we're getting a lot of what we're doing now is actually documenting the history from our point of view, and obviously we got the Black History Month. Well, even though it's the 1 month, okay?
And we're grateful, I'm sure.
But I'm not going to knock it, because if we want to teach our history, we have to teach it from the home.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a foreign land. They're going to teach their history from their perspective.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, the school curriculum history is not going to be the one that you're going to deliver from your home.
But do you believe that one of the ways of preserving this history is to give a context? I know that the home is the most important institution in terms of educating the child and shaping the individual. Nevertheless, I don't think we could ignore the influence, the impact of the educational system on young people and what is taught to them.
So time is moving on.
Yes. So
we're starting to see that we're starting to own our own creative industries.
Right.
And the more and more we start to own our own creative industries, the more and more we have that platform to tell the history from our point of view.
Right.
Now, I do remember back in the days, I think, was it Channel 4 or was it Channel 5? I can't remember, but it was specifically set up for ethnic minorities, especially Black ethnic minorities.
Mm-hmm.
But look what's happened today, we're not seeing those ethnic minority programs on the TV.
Right, so
because as much as we should, but when we are producing it, we can't. It's very hard to get it put on that platform. We're starting to create our own platforms through the social media networks, and we got to continue in that show and get bigger and stronger.
Right. So
till we actually own our own TV channels.
Right.
We have our own Black radio station back again.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't too pleased when Choice FM sold off to Capital Radio, because that took away a lot of listeners who are of middle age.
Right.
They used to listen to it, and they were only interested in the young heads.
Okay.
Trying an image.
Right. Okay.
Of the music that was more derogatory than good.
Right. Okay, Andy, we're gonna have to leave it there. Time.
Are we getting near to that time now?
Yeah. Time has. Time on this show always goes.
Well,
time is priceless here. Time always goes. Time always escapes here. Every time it's about time here, because it's not as long as you think it is, because it's that time already. But anyway, we're definitely going to be exploring this topic again. I'm sure that our history is longer than 1 month, and we're going to continue to explore this topic again. So again, Andy, thank you for your contribution here this evening on global horizons.
Take care and be safe out there for everyone.
Thank you, Andy. Right, that was Andy Advocate there, contributing there, his sharing his views on the issue about sovereignty, independence, and what's the point of Barbados removing the Queen Elizabeth as the head of state, and also slightly touching on the issue of preserving our history and our heritage here in the UK, in ways to do it. And the way he put it was that we need to own our own creative industries, so that we could, in terms of the media and so forth, so that we can have to be a sphere of influence in terms of what is put out there, and be in control of our own propaganda, and obviously owning our institutions and so forth. But he sees the home as the primary institution that should be in charge of educating us and keeping our heritage and our history alive. That's it. Time is through. Up next is Pastor Michael Lewis. I just want to thank Hans, the urban psychologist, for Black Men Talk, and also Victor, having Victor Daniels on here. And we also apologize to Michelle Akua. We do sincerely apologize this evening. We're going to go now. We're going to our featured artist for the month is Ella Handel. As I said before, for those who haven't heard before, she is from she lives in Trinidad, but she's from Grenada. She went to Trinidad when she was 8 years old, and her immediate descendants were Yoruba people in Grenada, and they came after emancipation, so they still kept their tradition of Orishas and sing the language. So she still sings in the language today, and is part of the what is called the Shango religion there, or the Orishas there in Trinidad and Tobago, and she sings in Yoruba, and she is the featured artist of the month. So I am going to finish off the show with that. Again, I just want to thank everyone. Again, just to mention our supporters again: Blue Rock Cafe, Caribbean restaurant there in 344 Lordship Lane, Tottenham in 17. Exquisite dishes there, tasty food and competitive prices. So get yourself down there to Blue Rock Caribbean restaurant there on 344 Lordship Lane in 17 Tottenham 7QX. Again, thank you for listening.